So the Devil May Cry show came out yesterday, and I really liked it. It's not perfect, but it was pretty good. I binged, I binged it so quickly, I blinked and it was over. But it does seem like they're obviously pressing for like a season 2, so the DMC community will be eating good for a while, hopefully. But for now, all we can do is wait, so, as the title of the video says, I'll just be pointing out some references / details of anything Devil May Cry, I saw in the show. So, the show's clearly based on Devil May Cry 3 due to it being the starting point of the series, essentially retelling the game story by, Frankensteining some parts from different games, like how there's different, bosses from, Devil May Cry 4, and some from Devil May Cry 1, and, well, it's gonna be a reference later, but some from Devil May Cry 2. So the first thing I noticed is the intro where they show all of the weapons Dante and one of them Virgil had during the games. You get to see Alistair from Devil May Cry 1, Red Queen from Devil May Cry 4 or 5, Agni and Rudra, Rebellion, and Claymore from DMC 3. Wait, no, I think Claymore's from Devil May Cry 2. I can't remember. You also get Vendetta and Merciless from Devil May Cry 2, as well as Yamato, the weapon Virgil wields. Another thing you notice is some big bads they show in the opening, like the main man Mundus, and surprisingly, what's this guy's name? Arius, there we go. Arius from Devil May Cry 2. This dude is so unmemorable. I literally pulled a complete blank trying to think of this man's name, bro. That dude who had that god-awful boss battle in Devil May Cry 2. But everything in Devil May Cry 2 was god-awful, besides Lucia. But anyway, somebody we are happy to see from Devil May Cry 2 is Lucia, like I just mentioned. And I was flabbergasted when I saw her. I was like, she came out so out of nowhere, but once we get to the end of the series, it starts making a whole lot of sense. Or maybe it's a tease for season 2. You'll get it. There's also this one guy who seems to be a Dante impersonator, who may be a reference to how Dante used to go by Tony Redgrave as an alias, but I'm still unsure, so... Oh yeah, there's also this guy who kind of looks like John Constantine, or Tyne, or however you pronounce it, but yeah, pretty cool nod to him. Next one. On the screen when the government types are researching Dante, you see one of the descriptors as often refers to video games as if his demon hunting missions are games, so yeah, that's obviously a big reference to the games, because Devil May Cry is a game, so yeah. Next reference is the diner scene, where you see a familiar looking waitress. This is most definitely referencing the OG DMC anime, and as you can tell, it's the same waitress with the same crush on Dante. For anybody who watched the show, it's a really nice reference. The final reference from the first episode is Dante breaking down on a DDR machine, being clearly a reference to DMC5. The dance isn't 1-to-1, but the ending pose sure is, and that white cowboy hat is definitely a reference to Dr. Faust. The next reference is in episode 2, and it's a Street Fighter one, which is kinda an Easter egg in an Easter egg, cause the fighter they have on screen is Ken Masters, who shares the same voice actor as Dante from the games. At first I was like, how are they getting away with this? And then I realized DMC's owned by Capcom, which leads to our next reference, which is a Mega Man figure on the dashboard of one of the Darkom trucks, which also surprised me a bit, and I'm like, oh yeah, Capcom, The next reference is when Dante and Enzo are being held captive by the Darkom guys in the truck, and he brings up a Raccoon City job, which Dante said is his second worst job. And this is quite obviously a reference to Resident Evil, another franchise owned by Capcom, and most likely a reference to how DMC was originally supposed to be a RE game. So does this mean that Leon S. Kennedy and Dante are in the same universe, or could meet? I don't know. Potentially, maybe they have met or not, who knows what they're saying. But yeah, we'll see. Okay, moving on, last reference I noticed was in the last episode, where we see this silly looking mustached man with a surprisingly not pushed back hairline. And if you're wondering who this is, well, it's Arius from Devil May Cry 2, the big bad and leader of Ouroboros, which we do see in the show, and definitely the least interesting boss fight in the DMC franchise. Well, maybe not, but it's pretty bad. But hey, maybe the show will make him more interesting. This also connects to Lucia, whose whole thing is like taking down Arius with Dante in the second game. So maybe that's the timeline the anime will follow, or we might focus on someone else. That being Nello Angelo, or the alias Virgil went under while working under Mundus in Devil May Cry 1, because he makes us like an appearance at the end of it, and then we just get a Virgil appearance with Barry the Light in the background, and it's just perfection. Whatever, bro. But yeah, it's just great, so you can't complain, right? So yeah, it's pretty cool. I really like the show. Like, not everything was great, you know, lady freaking swearing every 5 minutes, you know, like it gets to a point, man. It's really annoying. Like, at first she's like, fuck, motherfucker, fuck, and you're like, okay, a few swear words here and there, but like every sentence she has is a swear word. So like, yeah. And also, you know, the what is it, the whole fight scenes with the big bosses, you know, them it being 3D, you know, you can't really do anything about that, because, you know, it's probably something to do with budget, and I can't complain when a studio can afford to do something. But then again, it was disappointing, but the fight scenes were still cool, so you can't complain. So yeah, hopefully we do get a season 2, and wherever it leads to, maybe Devil May Cry 2 or the first game, one of the two, because they're definitely the next in the line. And that's about it for references I found. Maybe there's more, but I'm glad they didn't force too many references in here. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, consider liking or subscribing or leaving a comment or whatever else you do in a video. So hopefully you watch the next one. Thanks for watching. See ya.